Welcome to the How to Write a Book podcast, the show that helps you plan, write, and publish your book, even if you're a beginner or just feel like one. Now, for your host, she's written over a dozen books and helps others bring their books to life. Here she is, Maciel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the How to Write a Book podcast. What is up, y'all? Alrighty then. We're going to dive straight into this topic because this one's a difficult one for me. Alright, so the subject is, I don't have time to write my book. Now, y'all know me. I want to encourage you and I want to be here just to show up positively for you because I don't think I've actually shared this before, but I used to have a writing coach. Well, she wasn't a writing coach, but she was more of a life coach. This was several years ago. And I won't share her name here, but she was an interesting coach, I would like to say the least. You know, I had shared with her my goals, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do writing, and how I wanted that to be a business. And this was like almost 7 years ago, maybe. And when I would meet with her and we had these goals, I had tried to show up, and sometimes I would get like my assignment done and sometimes I wouldn't. But no matter how I showed up, oh man, like she was really mean. She was like, oh, well, how can you show up for yourself? You're not showing up for this. You know, you're doing this wrong. Well, did you ever think about that thing? She was kind of the person who I didn't want to be and who I didn't want to see in a coach. So I stopped working with her. And I found an even better coach many years down the line who I still work with and I totally love. But that first experience taught me a lot about what kind of coach I didn't want to be. Now I'm not a life coach, but I am a writing coach. And what I always want to strive to do is to be positive and to always encourage you, because I do believe that everyone has a story on their heart. And from the clients that I've worked with, they have stories. They come to me and they say like, I want to write a book, but I really don't know what I want to write about. And after we do some digging, bam, like they have the story rise out of them. And I love seeing that because they finally believe that there are parts of their life or there's imagination that needs to be told. And I believe the same for you. You have a story that needs to be told. So when I hear this, like, I don't have enough time to write, I feel very pulled apart. I feel almost as if, like the process that should be honored and, you know, really to show up for, like, it's like, oh no, you think you just punched me in the gut. How could you say that? But I know that everyone's life is different. So especially as someone who has also been in a period of my life where, you know, like I was going through a spinal injury, people around me were having failed marriages all at the same time. There was losing a house. Somebody got sick in my family. And I was in a lot of pain and I was still working a job that had 60 plus hours. So I totally understand when you feel like as if you don't have enough time. And there can be times when you look at your schedule and you think, I absolutely can. Like if I do this, if I make this commitment to myself, I am going to have so much pressure and I am going to have like this physical pain almost. And that is not what we want for you all. We want you to enjoy this process. We want you to have fun and to really get to know yourself during this process. But, so here's where I'm kind of torn. But I want you to honor where you are in your life. Because if you don't have time to write at this moment, you might actually be in the perfect time to write. Now, you might be asking yourself, like, well, what does that mean? Because I have seen people who have very busy lives and very packed lives. And when we go through this together, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, you are on fire. Like, do you have any idea what you just accomplished? Do you have any idea what you just went through? Do you have any idea how much of a badass person you are? You know, and excuse my language, but you are rocking it. You have just done something and you have balanced out your life in a way other people can't right now. And your story deserves to be told so you can inspire those other people. So if you feel like as if you can't write your book right now, I want to instead encourage you to have a different perspective. Maybe this is the perfect time to write your book. And it doesn't have to be 3 hours a day, like what I do, right? Or 6 hours a day. I think Nora Roberts does that, possibly more. You know, it really could take 10 minutes a day. And just having that notebook by your bedside and you say, but before I go to bed, just 10 minutes, just going to journal about what's on my mind. I'm going to tell myself the story that I'm trying to tell the world. Those 10 minutes will rack up over time consistently. Just those 10 minutes can be a time of reflection, but also a way to understand how you're approaching your writing. And a year down the line, when you finally have that chance to open up your schedule, you might actually look at that journal or look at that document that's on your laptop and think, wow, look at all these nuggets of gold, because you were in that mind space. And one of the things that I tell my clients, because sometimes we have to hit dark subjects or heavy subjects that happen in real life. And one of my clients said like, well, I don't really want to be a Debbie Downer. I don't want to feel like I'm overwhelming the reader. And I was like, girl, like, you feel these emotions right now. You are feeling these emotions. You know, a year from now, you're going to be looking at this differently. You will see it in a different perspective, and your emotions will not be the same. So when you are in this moment, you are going to resonate with someone who is feeling this emotion at this time in their life right now. If you wait until that year passes, you will have a new lens. You will probably look at it with a much brighter, more optimistic lens because you knew how it turned out later. And I love optimism, and I think that's fantastic. But sometimes we need to reach a reader where they are hurting, so that we can talk to them in the way that they understand right now, so that when that journey finally comes to its resolution, you have reached them in a positive way because you started talking their language with them. So hold on to that. You know, if you feel like I don't have enough time to write, really this might be the perfect time to start writing. And also, if you have that like small voice that's like, oh yeah, I don't have time to write, but secretly I do have time to write, you know, but you're actually afraid to write, then my dear friend, take out a timing app. There's like a lot of cool apps out there, or spreadsheet, and simply write out your time for the next week. Jot down every time you take a break. What do you do? When do you start work? When do you watch TV? When do you start eating dinner? And kind of note where your time is going. And you will begin to find that you actually have a couple more pockets of time than you realized. And probably one of the things that's happening is that you're feeling this hesitation, and you're feeling scared and overwhelmed about the project itself. And what I would encourage you to do is just start small and say, I'm just going to create my writing space. It will be a sacred space for me, and I will dedicate 20 minutes to writing. You know, if you know that you have that writing block in there, but it's a secret writing block, I do recommend 10 minutes for those who really feel overwhelmed, but let's do 20 minutes for those of you who have that secret voice that's actually telling you to write. So show up for that and have no pressure, have no standard as to how you want to write. Because remember, we don't flat out run a marathon. We start off by jogging a couple of miles. So I encourage you to show up that way. And that's going to help you to start to understand yourself and to build up that writer's confidence. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I hope that resonates with you. Remember to keep writing and to identify those writer's blocks and to overcome them by showing up to the blank page. All right. Thank you guys so much. See you on the other side.
Hey there, writer. Thank you for listening to the How to Write a Book podcast with your host, Maciel Valenzuela. If you like the show, we'd be happy if you left a review. For more information on writing and the writer's life, go to www.themaciel.com. That's www.themassiel.com. We'll see you on the other side.